Okay, so welcome everybody to our work-life balance panel. I'm very excited to have our three agents here that are going to dive behind the curtain and tell us how they are juggling it all while still selling a lot of real estate. So I came up with this topic in September because I know for my many years leading real estate agents that this can be a really busy time of year, right? We have back to school happening for those of you that have kids in school. We have the general rush of the fall market, right? Sometimes in real estate there's a lull towards in the August months when people start going on vacation, and then it's back to being gangbusters in a very busy fall Hudson Valley market. And then heading into October and November, we start talking about business planning and setting goals for next year and thinking about what are we going to do better or different or, at a higher capacity in the following year. And so I felt like this was a timely topic because I'm talking to a lot of you every day, and these are work-life balance really is something that I think every entrepreneur struggles with. And that really is what we all are here, right? We're all small business owners, and the businesses that we own is real estate. And some of us own multiple businesses in addition to that. So I'm very excited that I asked my three friends here to dig in with me today on exactly what they are doing to juggle it all. So I'm going to have them just introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about where they service real estate, and then we will dive right in. So Jalissa, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been selling real estate, and what areas you service.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julissa Amaro. I have been in real estate with a license officially. This year will be 15 years this fall, actually, at the end of November. So I've been in it for some time now. I predominantly want to say that my business is majority in Orange County. I actually live in Rockland County, but I have found that people have migrated a lot towards Orange County due to the affordability. So I've had even people who live in Rockland's friends from high school, so on and so forth. A lot of people have actually considered Orange County over Rockland County due to its affordability. So predominantly Orange, and then the other half, I would say the other percentage would be Rockland.
Awesome. And you have small kids at home?
Yes. I have
How old are your children?
I have a 5-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl, and a 17-year-old son who just graduated from high school this past summer.
Oh, wow. Okay. So hands full. So we're going to learn from Jalissa how she's juggling that. I'm going to take a lot of notes because I only have one kid and he's 7 months and I can barely keep my head on straight most days. So I want to hear your tips and tricks for that. Okay, Davina, tell us about you. Where do you sell real estate? How long have you been doing it? What else should we know about Davina?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate, I think now I want to say going on 7 years. I was in New York City first and then came up here to Keller Williams in Kingston. And I work mostly Dutchess and Ulster County are really where I kind of do most of my real estate business. And I own 2 bars also, one in Ulster now and one in Dutchess County. So
is the Kingston bar officially opened yet or still?
We're hoping February 4th is like our projected date. I get really nervous to say that because you always know construction and build out and everything can take time. So fingers crossed for February.
And anybody that knows the restaurant business and the bar business in particularly, I mean, just having one bar is a lot, right? Let alone having one, building one out. You are in our top 20% in our Kingston office. So you're selling a significant amount of real estate too in the area. Are we allowed to talk about your other big screen projects?
Absolutely.
Okay, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I also just I have a television show coming out on HGTV. It airs January 7th. It'll be on Sunday nights at 9. We did an 8 episode series. It was super fun. It was crazy. It's about renovating real estate, the Hudson Valley, and just old houses, and kind of like the setup of all the other shows that are out there. It's like very similar format. But yeah, airs in January. Super excited about it. And just can't wait to share it with everybody.
That is awesome. What's the name of the show?
It's called Small Town Potential.
Small town. I love that. I'm so excited. And I remember when you were filming it, I was watching all the behind the scenes stuff you were posting on Instagram. So I can't wait to see the finished product. That's awesome. Very exciting. Okay, Brian, tell us about you.
Well,
What
apparently
should
I'm
we know
not
about
that busy.
Brian?
I've been selling real estate. This is my 24th year. I mostly Sullivan Orange and Southern Ulster. I don't go up northern Ulster at all, really. And I don't have a TV show.
You don't? Not yet.
Not yet. Or a bar. I spend time.
Or a
with
bar?
I
Or
support them
small
both.
children. I don't think you have small children either.
No, I have
No.
I have 4 boys, and I have a junior, and my youngest is a junior, and then up. So
Excellent. I love that. Okay, so Brian, I'll pivot back to what does your daily schedule look like? So one thing I know about you is that you are very regimented, right, with your schedule. And I think I won't speak for you, but I will speak for you and say that I think you found some freedom in having a pretty strict schedule. So what does that look like for you?
well, our one thing is lead generation, right? So my schedule is built around that. It's built so I do that in the morning. I always say the day's half over by 9 o'clock too. So usually I'm up between 5 and 5:15, go to the gym, don't go to the gym most days, but I pretend like I want to.
You think about the gym?
I'm not gonna lie. At the same time, I'm an office rat, so I have time allotted for my lead gen in the morning. Then all that happens anywhere between 8:30 and 12:30. I have a 1 o'clock huddle, and then after 2 o'clock, I set my appointments. So I don't have, and I shouldn't say don't, but I rarely have any appointments prior to 2 o'clock. So, and I'm pretty good about that.
And so if somebody wants to schedule an appointment with you before 2 o'clock, what do you say?
I ask them. I don't. First of all, I don't schedule them. I don't let them. I don't let them dictate it. I offer them the times first of all. So if you control the conversation, you can typically people will allow that. And I ask I offer a couple times. I mean, it's not a hard fast rule, but I'm pretty good about that. I mean, I'll make an exception if they can't do it, because as long as they're a 10 on the anxious list. If they're just somebody that wants to see a rental and they think there's a fire, have a nice day. But if they're a listing and it's an estate or divorce or somebody or I'm getting transferred, great, we can figure that out.
So you give them the alternate close, like does 2 p.m. Thursday or 3 p.m. Friday work better for you? Right.
Always.
And then they feel like they have some control over it, but you're giving them options within your schedule.
Correct.
I love that.
When they say, well, how about 11 o'clock? I'm like, I whine about it. And I'll say, listen, I've got a schedule. I've got to move things around. I can't, this, that, and the other thing, and make it really hurt to them, which is fine. So at least that if they're motivated, we'll do it,
Right. So making sure that they're motivated. So that I think is a time management hack, right? Like working with people that are motivated to go now. Not that you toss everyone aside, but you might put them into some type of automated follow-up system for those people. That way, when you're focusing on the people that are ready to go right now, and then giving them options within your schedule, which means you have to understand what your schedule is, right? Like, so you have to have those parameters set in order to set other people into them.
Yeah, 100%.
Bruce, asking in the chat, how many appointments are you, what is your goal for appointments per day?
Well, per day, my goal is to set an appointment a day.
Okay.
And that's whether. And so let's go back to one thing. You have to know your numbers in order to know what you want to do, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't know your conversion rates and your numbers and what your goals are, that really dictates how many appointments you need to go on. And what's your fallout rate? That's business planning 101 right now. So that really drives my schedule too. If I'm, it's the 15th of the month and I'm not hitting my numbers, I may have to take more appointments. I mean, I may be going on appointments that I'm not signing for whatever reason, or they're delayed, so it really varies week to week.
Right. So knowing your numbers, knowing how many appointments you need to set in order to hold the right number of appointments, in order to convert to your clients, right? To close however many deals you need in order to generate the income from your income goals.
So think about this. If you're hitting your goals, you're exceeding your goals, can you take time off? You can relax a little bit more, If you don't know that, you don't know that you need a 15-day protocol. You don't know that you're ahead. You don't know if you're behind. If you're just swimming out in the sea, you don't know where you're going. You need to know your numbers in order to focus and decide whether you need to push the accelerator or you can put the brakes and go hunting.
Right.
Go to the bar.
Right. I love that. And I think that it's almost the counter thinking where a lot of agents feel like it's constrictive to set up a schedule and to understand their numbers and to track. And I actually, what I'm hearing you say is that it's freeing to you because you can know whether or not you're on track. You have a system you can put people into that works. And then you're not spending all day in your head about, either you're off track or on track, or am I doing enough business? Do I need to work until, midnight tonight in order to, compensate for things? I love that.
100%.
Davina, so you wear multiple hats, right? So you are going in between a bunch of businesses, trying to do it all. What does your day look like?
Okay, so my morning is really important to me. I wake up.
Davina.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, so my morning is really important to me. I wake up every day. I set my automatic coffee to go off at 6:30 every morning. I'm up. It's already made the night before, so I don't have to do that. Get up, have my coffee, hang out with my dog, do a workout, whether it's like walk or run. Part of this time is like my time to just focus and like actually figure out my day. After I do all of that, I go over what does my day look like. I go over my, my to-do lists, my schedule, what can be put off, what has to be done right away. And then, what can I give to somebody else to do to kind of take it off my plate. So I go through my, my day, my schedule in the morning after I take all my me time. And then from there, I'll either end up focusing, I'll focus on my real estate follow-ups in the morning, probably from like 11 to 12. I go in, try to set some appointments, follow up with clients. I really try to do my real estate business. I try to set my appointments on the weekends or like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday only. So I try to push everybody on those same days so that I can make sure I'm getting multiple showings in and meeting with multiple clients in one day. Sometimes I'll have 2 different clients in the same day. But I try to do that so that I have more time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to worry about the bar and the other businesses that I have. So it's kind of just like, but that's my morning every day. It's like coffee, workout, dog, schedule, to-do lists, appointments, and then, yeah.
So I love the idea of a morning routine, right? I think that that's super important, having a routine. And then the second thing I heard you say was that planning time. I think that planning time is one of the secret sauces to time management. And that might be counterintuitive to some people too, because it's time that you have to actually stop and not be technically productive for maybe a half an hour, but because you're spending that time planning, how much time would you say it saves you on average to have that kind of that plan as you go into the day?
Hours, because I'm looking at things on this list, and sometimes my list can get really long between my real estate business and my bar business. And so once I figure out who can take things off my plate, where I can put things, what things I can do tomorrow versus today or next week or next month, once I plan all of that out, it saves me hours and hours of time. I feel like sometimes I'm like, wow, I just went from a super long list today and now I'm like, I have 3 things to do. Great. So I think that keeps me on track, and it's really important for me to do that every day or I'm
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, I love that. The planning time is super important. I have a similar planning routine in the morning that I follow religiously, and it's really kind of shifted how I work my day as well. Jalissa, let's hear about your day. So you have the kids getting ready to go to school. You got a busy real estate business going on. What does your schedule look like during the day on an average day?
Fair enough. Okay, so as mentioned, I have 3 kids. So my schedule kind of fluctuates, and there's a lot of after school activities for me, which I learned over the years that if you do not put it on your calendar, Rita knows the ending of that sentence.
Doesn't
It
exist.
doesn't exist, right? So as we all know, we put our kids in sports to kind of keep them busy so that, you know, they can get some of that energy out. So I try to prioritize always the things that are the most important. And I've learned over the years that if I am not putting those things on my calendar and I am not prioritizing them, that they just slip my mind. I confuse the days. So I prioritize everything, literally every single thing as far as going on the calendar, everything, doctor's appointments, sports days, practices, games, locations are put on there. Every single thing is on my calendar. Even days off for the girls for school, because my girls are in 2 different schools. So there's one district calendar and then there's another calendar to follow. So they're not always off of school at the same time. So I prioritize on my calendar, putting all of the days, everything I need to know, even when I'm supposed to pick up the first kid off the bus, when I'm supposed to take the second kid off the bus, because time will fly. You'll be in the middle of something. You'll be on the phone, trying to put a deal together, presenting an offer. And then before you know it, your kid's right back to school and you got to go pick up your kid at school. It already happened to me one time this year. So, and it had to do with the bus location change. It was supposed to be over here. So I went over there, but then they said, no, well, we didn't get a notification. So I don't want to blame that one on myself. My morning, I get up around 6:40 in the morning. That's when my alarm goes off. I only give myself a maximum of 3 minutes to stay in bed. Just so you know, like if I don't get up harsh at that alarm going off at 6:40, I try to give myself just a couple of seconds to kind of breathe it through. And it's like, okay, I just have to get up. I have things to take care of. So when it's like 6:43, I look at the phone and I'm just like, I have to get up, and I force myself to get up. So I don't hit the snooze button. I physically, like mentally, I'm up, but I don't get up always from my bed until 3 minutes later. So I do give myself a little bit of a snooze in between there. My first one starts getting ready. She goes on the bus at 7 and change again. When my alarm goes off, that's when I go. So 7:35, we're walking to the bus. Then I have to get my second one ready. She goes on the bus at 8:44. So it's a huge difference. I have a whole hour for each one, which allows me to have a little bit of one-on-one with them in the morning. So in the morning, they're not allowed to have tablets. I only talk to them. I am very, I've really embraced developing relationship with my kids. So now that I have an hour for each of them in the morning, I talk to them in the morning. What would you like for lunch? You know, these are your options, you know, what, instead of just throwing it all together, because if I do have that option, I want them to choose it. So that's one of the things that I've been working on, developing my relationship with my kids a little bit more so that they know that I'm always there, that they can trust me. You know, how do you feel about this? So in the morning, there's a lot of one-on-one with my kids to develop that relationship further. Once my second one is on the bus, I come back home. It's around 9 o'clock. I generally will stop, make another cup of coffee. By then I'm on my second, my third cup of coffee, something like that. And I will generally kind of freshen up, sit down and read my emails for about 15 minutes. And then I do the famous Rita Gildersleeve brain dump. You know, so you write down all the things that you have to do, and then I put them in order of what is priority. So if there's something that's money making and it's like an offer, for example, if I didn't do it the night before, I know that that's the first thing I have to do on my list. If I have to book an appointment with my doctors, I can do that while I'm driving. So it doesn't matter if they can't hear me too good or I lose the phone call because it's not good signal. I'll just call them back. Not a big deal. So again, you have to prioritize the things that you have to do in your day. My 15 minutes for my email are specifically so that I can make time to make a to-do list. So it's not just checking my emails, is working with my emails, because sometimes you get requests from clients like, oh, I saw this property. What do you think about this? Should we go see it? So I will write down things from my emails also as part of my brain dump. respond to so-and-so, check 123 any street, check the taxes, look at a mortgage calculator, whatever it might be. And then from there on, you prioritize what you have to do. I do make time for my lunch. I either do a 12 to 1 or a 1 to 2. And generally that means that I'm fitting in time to actually make a lunch, warm up food, and then have it ready for the kids when they come home. Then the first one comes home at 2:45. So before I know it, they're like, we're all right back to square one. So 2:45 is my first one. Then I get a little bit of time with her. I get to focus on actually doing homework without her having any distractions, which is beautiful. Because once you have more than one kid in a room, in a house with 3 kids, trust me, there is no such thing as having complete attention. It's gone. It's out the window. That doesn't exist. So it's been working out really nicely. I'm able to help her with her homework, and we breeze through it really fast because there are 0 distractions. And then my next one after that, she walks with me to the bus, goes gets her little sister, and that's at 4:05. So we have about an hour gap. And then when she comes home, I try to make sure that she eats something. Her big sister, I try to make time for them to take a bath separately. So when she comes home, before the little sister comes home, sometimes I'll say, oh, let's just sneak in the shower real quick. And I'll throw in a bath bomb in there. So, it'll be so cool and private and you could do whatever you want and play with your toys. I'm really just getting 15 minutes of silence while I'm replying back to emails, but she doesn't know that. So I try to fit in a little time here and there. But then when she's like, Mommy, you're distracted with your phone again, then I have to check myself. Because here's a 7-year-old telling me, hey, you're getting addicted to your technology that you're not allowing me to use, but here you are consistently using it. And then I have to justify the fact that it's considered work. So my 7-year-old is the challenging one. She will challenge every brain cell that you have. Like, she'll make you wonder what in between everything. So when the little one comes in, usually I make sure that she eats, gets taken care of as far as if there is any homework, but she's in kindergarten, so she generally doesn't have any homework. So I try to give her a little bit of time. She plays with her sister. Before you know it, we just have an hour to do what we need to do. And then we are full gear in sports mode. So we have softball, we have t-ball, there might be basketball, whatever it might be. My kids are in stuff. Girl Scouts, I run a Girl Scout troop. So I'm always involved in something. I'm part of the Parent Teacher Association in the school. So I'm involved in doing here, volunteer there. And so I do try to make sure that my hours are bracketed. So when somebody says to me, when can you do this? When can you do that? I will say, I have space between this time and that time. So as we know, everything is about creating boundaries with schedules. So yeah. And then after that, by the time we're home, it's 7 o'clock, is bedtime. And, that's how the day goes.
Yep. So what I'm hearing from all three of you is that you have an idea of what your schedule looks like. And although it's completely different, right? You all have completely different schedules. You have completely different priorities and things on your plate. You all have an idea of what your day is going to look like when it starts. So that might be a question for the people on our panels that you write down for yourself to answer, right? If you take some time after this class and think about what you learned, what does my schedule need to look like, right? Because it's not that it's not a one size fits all answer, but I think the key that we heard from all three is that they all have planning time in their day, right? Like, so they all have time where they sit down and they look at their numbers and they set their priorities and they think about what needs to be done, today. And then from there, they have an idea of what their schedule looks like. They either have it blocked in terms of there's certain days that, Davina focuses on real estate and certain days she focuses on her other businesses. Brian has certain hours during the day that he does lead generation. Same thing with Jalissa. There's certain hours where she knows she can be super productive during the day, and then certain hours that she knows she's going to need to be available to spend more time with the kids. So that might be an action item for anybody on the panel to sit down and think, what is your schedule look like, and when can you put in planning time, right? And how can you add that onto your calendar?
The biggest thing,
go ahead.
The biggest thing I find is that, I need to get whatever I don't want to do done in the morning.
Okay.
The things that the things that I don't love to do, and that has to get done in the morning for me in order for me to do what I do want to do later in the day.
And so how do you motivate yourself to do things that you don't want to do? I know that wasn't a prepared question, but I'm asking it anyway.
For me, it's planning. It's goal setting. It's knowing what I want to do and why I'm doing this. Just most those of you know me know that I love to hunt, as you can tell. But so I have trips. I plan trips 2 years in advance. So it's always when I have to lead gen, or if I have to do something that I don't want to do, talk to a wonderful client that is just cooperating so well, because all our clients cooperate. I think of what it's going to get me. So and maybe that's something that buying a piece of property, maybe it's going on vacation, maybe it's going on a hunt, or maybe it's just paying a bill. You know what I mean? Whatever motivates you or motivates me, that's what I reach back to.
So looking towards developing a big why for your business, really, that's not just a money goal, but what is the money going to help you accomplish? And then using that as the motivation when you're getting into maybe a block of time doing something that you don't want to do, or that makes you uncomfortable, or that you're, dreading getting done. And does anybody else have hacks or tips for prioritizing things? Because I know sometimes when you start with a long to-do list, some people's default is to start checking off the easy stuff, the quick stuff, the gotta minutes, the non-important priorities. And then I know I've fallen into the trap where 2 hours has gone by and I haven't done one thing that's been productive on the list, but I've checked off a lot of minutia. So do you have any tips for how to prioritize your day when you have a lot on that list?
Honestly, for me, it's just what's the top 20%. What do I have to get done in order to? And there's a lot. My list right here. It's it sits in front of me every day, and there's still some things on there that I haven't done that I know I need to do.
Right.
But you gotta eat the big ugliest frog first.
Yep. Sorry, do you know what was that?
It just feels really good to check something off too. It's like, I love to handwrite my lists. I know it's kind of like an old school thing, I think. But for some reason, when I have a pen and I can scratch something right off, I'm like, oh, that felt so good. Like, I don't know. It's just something that, yeah.
Sometimes I put things on my list just that I've just done so that I can cross it off.
100%. I'll like, oh, I just did that. Really got to cross it. Just so
I did it.
I agree. I also have, for a long time, I used to buy, what is it called? An hourly calendar. So instead of getting a weekly calendar or monthly calendar, I literally would get a weekly, hourly calendar, which is what the hairdressers use. So they could make appointment calendars. That's the other name of it, an appointment calendar. And it starts at like 7 o'clock. It ends normally at like 7 o'clock or 9 to 9 or something like that. And I knew what I wanted to do during the day. So you could literally take that piece of paper and draw a line. And above that line on the side, you can write prospecting, you can write planning, whatever it is. And so if you prioritize that list that you're making, for Davina and myself, it is definitely something that I'm writing by hand. I like to see it. And then there are times that sometimes I use a to-do list, like a honey-do list, right? A long piece of paper that somebody gives you for free in a little kind of cardboard thing. And you start writing them, and then you cross out, and then you tear out that paper and you're like, whoa, that felt so good, and that's great. That's awesome. But then I found that me doing that, sometimes I would need to follow up on one item that I did accomplish, but now I didn't have that paper and I didn't remember what it was, and it's itching me. And I'm going, oh my God, I know I have to follow up on that because I know I took care of it, but why didn't they respond? So I found that having it all in a calendar, on an hourly calendar, even after you cross it out, sometimes it's important to keep that paper. So I'm going back actually now to the hourly appointment calendars, because I need to be able to flip back a week and go, I know I accomplished everything here. It's all been crossed out, but this person didn't respond to me. And I'm feeling kind of like there's a little hesitation there. What's going on? Maybe I need to have a conversation because now I didn't follow up. So now I'm able to look at it. So a lot of times going through that priority and that checklist, even after you check it off, you really do have to refer back to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So now my next thought, and other people on the call might be thinking this. So it's all good in theory. And then you have clients who have different objectives, right? And they have different ideas about what is urgent in their minds and what is a priority So how do you set expectations with your clients? Because I think one of the traps that a lot of real estate agents fall into is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, being responding immediately to everything that comes up in real estate. And it sets the tone sometimes with our clients that they can come to you at midnight and you're going to respond to them, right? Or at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're going to respond to them. So, what tips do you guys have for setting the right expectations, right? And protecting your time when it comes to working with your clients? Davina, what tips do you have for people to protect their time?
I think it's just I like overly communicate with my clients. Sometimes I'll say like, what are your expectations from me? I just want to get on the same page with them because I think that's really important. You can also go through the process with them. The more education they have, especially like first time home buyers, the more they know the process, the less urgent things become, I think. So just being like open and honest and communicating with them, like, I'm available during these times. Please feel free to call me, send me an email, and I think that's been a hard thing for me, is to realize like you can tell people no, you can say, I have to call you back tomorrow, or I'll, between these hours. Like it's setting those parameters for yourself it's actually really hard to do. And I've been recently doing it and finding some success in it, because now I know that like if I'm available all the time, it also makes me look less valuable for some reason. Like I feel like people are like, oh, she's always available, why isn't she like busy taking care of other clients? Or, I think when you look too available, sometimes, even if you are, it really gives people the perception that you're not that busy.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. So I just, I think I'm just open and honest with them, and I'm really just go over the process, and I communicate everything right up front, and I think that helps a lot.
So you spend time educating them so that they feel confident that they know what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah.
And so if they feel like they know what's going to happen next, sometimes that urgency of like, I don't know what I'm doing and you need to respond to me right now because I'm in a panic can kind of go away. I love that. Brian, what tips do you have for helping set expectations with your clients around your schedule?
Well, I tell people, I don't really tell people, but I don't, if you know me, I don't really work in the late evenings, and I don't work on the weekends. I'm pretty good like that. It's not that I don't, I just choose not to. I'll set appointments for the weekends if it's at 10, somebody hot that wants to do it. But again, I will fight you tooth and nail that I want to protect that time. Now, truth be told, I don't work with a lot of buyers, and the ones that I do work with are motivated because that's what I choose in my business. So that frees me up a little bit. But at the same time, the fires that burn are the ones that you fuel. There's no fire that won't be here tomorrow for the most part. And if you're reactive to people and you feed them and you're responding to them at 7 o'clock at night, you're teaching them how you want to communicate. I mean, a lot of times, if it's something that's important and I want to respond to somebody, I might say, hey, listen, I'm in a planning board meeting, or I'm in a meeting where I'm sitting on my couch. Don't take that the wrong way, or I'm networking, and guys know what that means for me.
Yeah.
So, and I'll get back to you in the morning, just so it's a quick text. But I think, like you guys are saying, the biggest thing is communicating what's next. And as long as they know what the next step is, they will most of the time will go on to that next step. If there's something that you have to communicate at night, I'll do it. But a lot of times it's there in the morning, or it goes away. I mean, that's
Right.
what it is. But I try not to schedule things in the evenings and at night and on the weekends. I like my weekends, and that's unheard of. But that's something that I've taught myself, that we can conduct business between 9 and 5. You'd be surprised, guys, how many times, if you look at all my appointments over the past year, I would say 80 to 90% of them are between 9 and 5. Well, actually 1 and 5 on the weekdays.
Right. And so I think you're exactly right that we teach people how to treat us, right? And so how we're showing up to our clients, and when we have a strong value proposition for for ourselves, right? Brian's very clear on how he can get a house sold quickly for top dollar. He has market share in his target area. He has a team. He has things that the clients want to work with Brian, right? They're excited and looking forward to working with Brian because he's clear with them on this is the value you're going to get. And so I think as you develop a value for yourself that is desirable to people, people will then go along with what you want, right? So instead of saying, like Davina is saying, don't appear desperate to work with somebody. Just say like, this is how I work with clients and this is the service you're going to get. And these are the results I can get you. And if this is what you want, then this is how we're going to proceed. Generally, I'm going to meet with you between 1 and 5 during the weekdays. I'm going to, if you send me an email at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to respond first thing in the morning when I'm back in my office around 8 o'clock, right? If before that conversation, you've explained to them all of the ways you're going to help them and provide a great customer service experience and what they can expect next from you, they're going to be so excited to work with you that setting that parameter, I don't think is going to be a big deal for 99.9% of people. They're just going to say, okay, great. I can't wait to work that way because I want all of that value that you've just delivered. You just explained to me.
Most of your people work 9 to 5 too.
Right.
12 hours. They get it.
Well, and I think sometimes it's funny, real estate agents feel like they have to respond to everything immediately. I don't even think the client always has that expectation. I think that that's something that we think in our heads that, oh, they must urgently think I need to respond right now. But if they were emailing their attorney or their accountant or their home inspector, they're not expecting the person to respond in 30 seconds, right? Like, is it reasonable to say if you email an attorney in the morning and he gets back to you at noon, I would say that's a win in most situations. Half the time you're chasing the attorneys down 5 times, right? So would you ever think like this guy is not responsive because he didn't respond to me in 30 seconds? No, you wouldn't. And I don't think that that our clients generally think that either, but I think we kind of create that chatter in our own heads. Jalissa,
everybody has that client too, though. I mean, we've all had them that wants it, and you're going to have to deal with that or manage it. I mean, and that, but most people are not that much of a pain in the rear.
Right. Jalissa, what would you add to that?
So this is what I would say. I would say that I prefer to do business with like-minded people. And with that being said, I normally will set boundaries, just like Brian will say, like, this is my schedule, this is my availability. When I initially have a conversation with a new client, I will tell them that from the beginning. I will say, if they're a buyer, I'll say, what are your hours of work? That's one of my first questions that I ask them. What are your available times and what are your hours of work? And I'm trying to determine right then and there, what are they going to, how are they going to answer that question, right? So that I know how they're going to fit into my schedule, and that way I could use that to my advantage. I prefer doing appointments before I have to worry about my kids. So for any reason, anything I have to do, I try to always make it before 2 o'clock because I want to be on the road by 2 o'clock trying to get that kid off the bus. I don't want to have to call my neighbor and say, I didn't make it, I couldn't get there. Oh, grandma, can you go get her? I don't like depending on other people. I want to be there. I want my kid, because the day I'm not there, they're like, how come you weren't there? You were supposed to be there. And they make you feel like you were the worst person in the world because you didn't volunteer for something that you normally volunteer for. So I think it's important to set those expectations and those boundaries. Like everyone else mentioned, I will tell my clients initially, like, hey, listen, sometimes I understand that you are going to be scrolling through the phone at night and you're going to see things on like Zillow or realtor.com and someone's going to send it to you and you're going to want to share it with me. And it's okay. You can send it to me at whatever time of the day. But when my kids go to bed, my phone goes on silent. So you can send it to me at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, but you should not expect that I'm going to respond to you until I'm able to the following day. And then all of a sudden I'm getting messages and they're like, I'm so sorry. I know you said I could, but then they start feeling a little guilt because I explained to them, hey, this is what my schedule looks like on a normal day. I'm normally available after 9 and before 2 o'clock. After 2 o'clock, there's a madness. And then while they're in sports, I might need to actually help in that sports team. Maybe they need an extra mom to go catch a ball in a base while the kids are running some kind of plays. And so I try to do whatever I can to set the expectations of what they should expect from me and what I should expect from them by asking them questions, but also allowing them early on to know what a normal day looks like for me.
I love that. So setting clear expectations. So for our the people on this call, that an action item for you might be to write down, what are your expectations, right? What are the expectations when someone works with you? What are you able to offer to them, right? What's your value proposition when someone works with you? And then if you come to an agreement that, yes, we're going to work together, I'm going to be your real estate agent, you're going to be my client, what then expectations do you have with each other that you can set right up front so that everybody is on the same page to work within a system that works with you? I love that. So, and while there are priorities, there are also non-priorities that still have to get done. Right? Like the inspection still has to get scheduled. Someone has to email the attorney the purchase offer. Some, like there's things that come up that might not be a priority per se, but that cannot be ignored, right? So they have to be done at some point. And so a lot of times that can look like finding leverage in your business to help with the non-priority items. So I'm curious to hear from the three of you, what points of leverage, whether it's a person, a system, a piece of technology, have you added into your business to kind of help you stay in your strength zone? Julissa, what pieces of leverage have you added into your business that have helped? Can you hear me, Julissa?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Brian was going first.
I think I said
So
your
sorry.
name. Yeah.
I was expecting Brian to go first.
You're like, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, I'm like, let me hear what Brian's doing. So for me, I want to say that probably showings. I've gotten to the point where I will leverage some showings where I find that there is a conflict with my schedule. Maybe a new listing came up and I know it's a great fit for my client, but I've got the sports schedule, and for me that's important. And if I cannot get my spouse to say, yeah, sure, you can step out for this and I can jump into that, and we can shuffle easily. If it's not an easy shuffle, I will not do it. And at that point, I will say, I need someone to help me here. And then I'll text somebody, hey, can you do this showing for me? It's one house, I just need it to be done today because I'm booked with sport things for the next 3 or 4 days, and this house is going to go. And I will leverage that out. That's the easiest thing that I can do, is leverage out opening a door for someone for one showing, or maybe 2. Once it goes past 2, I prefer not to do that.
Got it. Okay. I love that. Yep. Easy. That's a great way to kind of hack your time and still have your clients feel like, okay, I'm getting into houses quickly, which is important in this market, right? Like, so I'm able to go and see the house. Sometimes it might not be with you, but I'm still reaching my end goal of, oh, the value I'm getting is that Julis is making sure I'm getting into these houses really quick, which is great. And then she's rounding back with me and we're figuring out if that was the right house to write an offer on, or, if we have to keep looking at things. I love that. Brian, what pieces of leverage do you have in your business?
So, everything's about getting time back, number one. And as far as leverage, I have no S and C in my, if you guys know the disc, I have no S and C in my personality. So that means that I'm not compliant and I don't like paperwork. So I have an assistant that I leverage that. They put in the listings, they make sure everything's compliant for Lori, thank God. And I think we do a pretty good job of it. But so that's a huge, and that's not something that doesn't fuel me. Talking to people and putting deals together fuels me. That gives me energy. That, doing paperwork sucks the life out of me. So I've learned through coaching to do the things that I want to do the things that make me happy, and do the thing. And that's how I lead generate now, people. I do the things that I want to do because I'm going to do them, although I don't want to always do them. So it's do what gives you energy. So I have a full-time assistant that does a lot of that. I have a VA that does a lot of the compliance and the marketing stuff too. That's the people help that I use. And if you look at the red book, it says, which is here, it says you should, hire 2 assistants before you do anything else. First and foremost, I've done it sideways, left, right, up and down. Those are the 2 first hires that you need to make, because they will allow you to do more, period. And on the technology side, we use Command. I also use Follow Up Boss, where you talk about lists and reminding and things that we have to make sure we do. We have checklists that have to happen within there, to make sure that all those items that have to get done get done. So it's through systems and models and people. It's 100% leverage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the people component is super important, and figuring out, like you said, staying in your strength zone, letting other things handle what you're not good at, right? That way you can get bigger results doing the things that you are good at. Davina, what type of leverage have you put into your business?
Same thing. Paperwork, I am a nightmare. It's horrible. So I have been using the transaction coordinator through our office. That's been really helpful for me to get listings inputted into the system. I've also been using AI for my listing descriptions, which is a game changer. I'm like, this is amazing. Why haven't I been doing this? So I've been doing that, and I just kind of like proofread them, and I'm like, because sometimes my listing descriptions, I'm not great at those either. So that's something that's been helpful to get it off my plate. Yeah, and then also same thing with showings. A lot of times I'll have multiple buyers or people who want to go out at multiple times, and I've been able to start to offset some of that to other people, and give away some of those showings, hire people to open doors, and I think that has saved me a lot of time as well.
I love that. And so that's a great reminder that you don't have to have a team per se in order to get points of leverage in your business, right? It could be one of your goals to grow a team like Brian and have admins and have buyers agents and people that you are leading. And that's awesome. And yet, if you're not quite there yet, or that's not your vision for your business, you can tap into the leverage division, right? You can go in and get transaction coordination and listing management help through the office, where all the paperwork and the compliance will be handled for you. We can help you with marketing assistance through the office. So if marketing isn't your forte, we can take that off your plate, right? So that you're, again, focusing on what you do best. And maybe Erin can put in the chat the links to access that information. It's all on our KWHV group website, which is like our one-stop shop for all of our KW resources. All of our offices have productivity coaching programs. The productivity coaching programs are a great place to find newer agents that are looking for opportunities, that are engaged in business. So productivity coaches are great contacts if you're looking for somebody that can open a door for you, right? And do a showing. A lot of these agents love getting the experience of showing a house. You might compensate them minimally. Ebru's saying she's always happy to assist with showings. That's a great connection. There's also agents in that program, and just in general in our market centers, that will host open houses for you, right? So if you're an agent and you have a bunch of listings, you can't feasibly sit at all your listings and hold them open every weekend. Partner with the productivity coaching program, or post in our OP updates Facebook page and ask for somebody that is interested in, that might be interested in helping with a showing or an open house. So we have a big network of agents here that would love to help with these types of activities, right? And so use that to your advantage. Use the resources that we have in the office, the transaction coordinators, the listing managers, utilizing Command, right? There's a lot of things you can do in Command, like the checklist. The auto agent update in Command is a really simple way to shoot out notifications to your clients as you're completing things that you're doing. That can be done pretty simply. So if you have questions about that, you can contact Eileen. And so my big takeaways, and then I would love for you to put in the chat what your takeaways are, and we can have a couple minutes to answer questions. But my big takeaways are, Know your priorities, right? So start your day with the idea of what is your schedule. Start your day with some planning time. And when you're planning, figure out what is your priorities, right? What are going to be your priorities? Your priorities should be things that make you money. Then from there, have an idea of what your schedule should look like during the day. And then set the right expectations with your clients. And you can do that when you have a strong value proposition, right, for your business. You're able to set the proper expectation with your clients that if you want to work with me and get all this value I'm going to offer to you, this is how we're going to work together, right? And then I've heard from all of you that as your business grows and there's points that are maybe either things you don't love to do or things that you can't reasonably do because you've hit a ceiling, you found a piece of technology, a person, a system, something to come into place so that you don't have to slide backwards or just stay there. You can do more in the same amount of time without having to necessarily work more. Is there anything else, Jalissa, Brian, or Davina, that you'd like to add? And then we can open up for questions, but I want to hear in the chat ahas that we've had today.
I will share a preview of my calendar with everybody, and I'll just let you know if you have an Android, you can get your Google Calendar to basically be a ginormous icon on your phone, and everything is color coded. So everything that's yellow is my daughter's pickup from the bus, school. Blue has to do with a day off or something I really need to remember, but it's related to the calmness and the color blue for me. Anything that's red is like the kids had a fever and I wanted to write it down because I had to go to the doctor and remember what her fever was. So I put it on the calendar too, so I could discuss it with him later. And then anything green has to do with my fiance being on call. So if he has to, I can't, if I put it on green, it's kind of, for me, it's like, okay, if he's on call, I'm going to put it on the schedule. And that means I cannot depend on him to be there for, let's say, the softball game that I thought I was going to cover a showing for. So everything is color coded for me. This is a game changer for me, 100%. If you can figure out how to, I have an email address for each kid. I have one for Jomi, one for Alina, one for Nala. And so if there's a sports game, I know when I put it on the calendar, I'm grabbing the email address that's associated to their name. So I don't even have to write the name of what goes on the schedule. And that's automatically color coded to the color I like. So if you could figure out how to just love Google Suites the way I do, I think it's going to maximize everything for you. That's the best nugget I could give anybody.
I love that. It's not on your calendar. It doesn't exist. We'll say it again, right? I love that. Anything else, Brian or Davina? Last thoughts on time management?
I think for social media, there's a lot of tools out there that I've just started using. I think it's called Set Schedule. So I'm running multiple social medias for the bar, for my personal life. So I've just started scheduling out all of my posts. You could do like a whole month. You could literally sit down and just schedule out a whole month of your Instagram posts and get that all done, and it'll just go. And I'm like, this is great. I could sit for 1 hour and it's done for the month. So I think that's like something that's a really good game changer for lead gen too, if you're doing social media and you have multiple, accounts.
I love that. That's great. Brian, any last words for our friends looking to master time management?
Well, the only thing I would say is, you got to know your numbers. You got to have it on a schedule. And it's September 28th. You got about 10 more days to get any deal in for the year, realistically. You know what I mean? So the year's ending. So you have to plan for next year now. So get it on a plan. I love the fact that you said, what's your big why? I've always struggled with that. Why? I think that's awesome, because if you have a why, all this stuff falls into place, and just, I think it's just, you set the boundaries, you teach people how to treat yourself, so, and if you want to do it, you want a weekends free or something, you want to run a bar or something like that, you're gonna make it happen because you teach your clients how to do that. So, and you deserve it. Everybody deserves that. It's me time. Write it down.
Yeah, Most people got their real estate license with a dream of a lot of people freedom, right? Like freedom from something.
That's
And then I think people get busy and they realize I'm trapped in this business. I have no
Yeah.
life anymore. And so I think that all three of you really are a breath of fresh air to say, listen, we have these busy, big lives. All three of you have busy, big lives where you're doing really important, great things. And you're able to do that because you take the time to master time management and prioritize and have a schedule. And then through there, you're able to do all of the other things that you're doing, right? You're able to hunt, you're able to have multiple businesses, you're able to have designated really great time with your children and be an active participant in their lives. That's so I really think when people think about getting the real estate license, it's more of the vision of what you three are doing than the other, way around it. So I love that. And leading into you have we're already basically earning money for 2024. The business planning clinics, Brian, your money's in the mail. It's like I paid you to tee me up on this. The business planning clinics are back. This is my favorite time of the year is business planning. And so we're doing 3 business planning in-person clinics. If you don't know your numbers, you don't have your schedule together, you don't know how to prioritize your business, you're not sure how many appointments you need to go on to hit your income goals or what your lead generation sources are going to be, you have to come to one of our business planning clinics. They're going to be October 31st, November 1st, and November 2nd. I put the link in the chat to register. Just pick your location. You will leave with a written business plan that you can immediately start executing on. And as part of that day, we are going to cover time management. So we are going to cover how to get a schedule in place, how to create a growth plan for your business, how to use some focus tools we have at KW to really help you chunk down your business into smaller actionable items. So really, I urge everybody to sign up for the business planning clinics because what I heard from all 3 of our panelists is that they have business plans that they're working from. And so if you don't have one yet, or you don't have yours for 2024 done yet, let us help you with that. And
Goals that are not written down are dreams.
That's right. That's it.
And
Yep.
It's okay if you don't have one, just do it.
Right. And your goals are going to be, every person on this call is going to have different goals. That's why we do a clinic where you're coming in and setting your specific goals. So it's going to be your plan. Every person in that room is going to walk out with a completely different tailored plan for them that they can use. And so I think that's one of the, the reasons why we do these every year, and they're a pretty powerful planning session. So make sure you register for that. And then last thing in the last 1 minute, at 2:00 today, once you master your business and you're making a ton of money, you then are going to figure out, how do I take that money, right, and build wealth with it? Because that's another part of time management, taking the money that you're receiving and developing multiple streams of income with it, right? And maybe leveraging yourself, or maybe putting passive income into your business. And so at 2:00 today, back on Zoom, Erin just put the link in the chat. Rosemary Pilati is doing her monthly wealth building series. Today, we're talking about how to use a life insurance policy as an investment vehicle. So if you are interested in starting an investment portfolio, but you don't have the funds maybe necessarily that you think you need, I would encourage you to come onto this class, because we might give you the solution to that at 2:00. So thank you to my panelists. This was excellent. Thank you so much. I'm sure I know everybody learned a ton, and I did too from you today. So thanks everyone. Have a great day. And we're ending right on time so we can go back to our time block schedule.
Bye guys.
All right. Bye. Thank you everyone. Have
Bye.
a great day.